T-Mac, Uncle Bill came into the club yesterday for an education session. What did that session look like?
So he came in and gave a condensed presentation. So he said he normally has 6 hours to do it and he had 45 minutes with us. So it was essentially just as much information as he could pack in about his family and Indigenous history, especially around Melbourne, relating to our name change for 2 weeks to Narrm. There's a lot of really, uplifting, cool stories to hear, and then some horrible stuff as well with treatment of Indigenous people in past times. So there was some good and bad aspects of it to hear, but all really interesting stuff. And then we also got to hear from Ky-ya about the jersey design for the weekend and the story behind why she put certain things on there, which was cool because I didn't really know. I always love the design, but you're not really sure of what's actually on there and why it is. So it was cool to hear the story behind that.
What does it mean to you to be a part of this round and to wear that jumper?
Look, I suppose for the Indigenous boys, they're so proud to see their culture represented on the jersey. For the non-Indigenous guys, we just feel really special that, we get to run out with these guys and see them do things like the coin toss. They just leave the club for the couple of weeks and see the smile on their face is the part that makes me so happy. So it's just awesome to be involved in it, to see, especially games like Dreamtime, to see all the stuff that goes on before the game is stuff that you would never see in other rounds. It just really puts a bit of a highlight on Indigenous culture in Australia and Victoria. So had an awesome weekend, loved seeing the jersey. I wore the long sleeves because it looked so good. Unfortunately, I got a bit hot and my size is a little bit small, so I had to change it into the short sleeves for the second quarter. But if I get a bigger size, I might roll it for a full game next week.
Do you feel a lot more knowledgeable in this Indigenous space because of your involvement with the club?
Look, I wouldn't say I'm a lot more knowledgeable because there's so much more. Like as he said yesterday, he could go for another 5 hours and we would barely touch on anything. But just to hear a few little points, Uncle Bill was talking about, in particular, bushland and caring for land. And I grew up on a farm. My dad's a farmer, and he quite often talks about the same thing about burning off to be able to regenerate farmland. And to hear Uncle Bill talk about how that's gone missing and it's often leading to wildfires that are much more severe, and how Indigenous people used to burn off really safely and controlled, and it would allow the land to come back stronger. So that was really interesting to hear from a different point of view, having heard my dad talk about it for years, and we're not Indigenous, but to hear about the same sort of principles that have been going on for tens of thousands of years was just something I picked up on yesterday, but probably only really just scratched the surface of stuff you could listen to.